In today's video, you're going to be seeing a head-to-head versus the Titleist GT and the Titleist TSR. In a recent video, you would have seen me testing out my latest driver with last year's driver. Now, there was huge, significant differences in the spin rates. Now, a lot of comments on that video were about maybe could we have just tweaked the TSR to match the numbers of the GT. The TSR was actually down at 7.75 degrees of loft with a fade bias setting, and the GT was at a 9.5 degree loft with a draw biased setting. Also, two different shafts in there. So in today's video, I'm going to be putting this shaft into both of these heads. We're going to be going with the same setting and we're going to test the numbers. But then, to make it completely fair, I'm going to use this shaft in both of the heads as well. It is really important to point out that this shaft no longer goes in the GT head, and that, I presume, is for a reason. It mustn't be as compatible as what they've replaced it with this year. So it will make a difference, but I'm intrigued to find out what that is. Right, so we get an initial baseline view. I'm going to be going with the setup of the two clubs just to give you a reminder of the numbers. So in this one, we're going to go with the TSR2. It's set to 7.75 degrees of loft. We've got the UB7 extra stiff shaft in there. Now, this was a super low spinning club for me, which I actually weirdly enjoyed. I feel like I could kind of make it work, and I knew what I was going to be, I knew what to expect from it. Also got brand new golf balls in here today, so it's a super fair test. Right, we're going to hit 3 balls just to give you the baseline to start with, get an average of the 3. Well, there's a fairway found, which we like. 2-3, 4-3 spin, not much carry, not the fastest. First shot, first little feeler of the day. 2-3 though, was quite a high spin. Definitely felt like I got up on that a little bit more. 1-8, there we go. That's the 1-8 spinner. So what we're looking for as an optimal in reality is about 2-3. Certainly with the speed that I can get on the club head, we want around about a 2-3. .19 again, right, we're going to go with the GT3 now. We're going to see the difference. We've got the setup on B2, it's a 9 degree head, and it is a Tensai X Flex 75 gram shaft. So the idea was to try and add more spin to the previous gamer. I'll tell you something, the thing flies. 160 ball speed, there you are, 2000 spin already. So even though I'm not swinging it at optimal my movement patterns and my speed, the actual spin just already jumped up a little bit there. So much higher in the ball flight as well. Definitely goes further. 2-4 spins, perfect. Right, so the first thing we're going to do in this video, I'm going to put this shaft into the TSR2 head, and I'm going to move it to a 9 degree loft. So I'm going to loft it up because it's currently an 8.8 degree head. So we're going to loft it up to 9 degrees and put this shaft in, and let's see if I can manipulate that head to get the same numbers as this. So my current driver is set to B2, which is standard loft, so it's 9 degrees of loft and slightly upright, so it gives me a little bit more of a draw bias. Now I've just put this to C3, which is adding 0.75 degrees. This is now at 8.75 degrees, and not quite the 9 degree of the GT, so very, very close though, and obviously a little bit more of the more upright than what I'm previously used to as well. I'm very interested to watch these numbers. Definitely a higher ball flight. 976 is still low spin though, so still a very low spin. And remember, I got the best one I got off the GT was a 2-4 spin. That was a 1-9. Let's see, we've got 3 balls. It's a straight ball again. 2-1, so better spin, slower ball speed, 158 ball speed on that particular one, whereas I was getting over 160 with the GT. I feel like this is like a manufacturer's worst nightmare when you do a complete comparison between the previous model and the newest model. They do all say that, oh yeah, but the shafts are slightly different, it's not a fair comparison. This shaft is not necessarily perfect for this GT TSR2 head. But I mean, we've got to be able to compare. We've got to be able to compare them somehow. I definitely feel like I've got a little bit more of a higher ball flight, but I'm sacrificing a little bit in distance and speed and length. I don't have much control of it at all, if I'm honest. I don't know if it's this setting and this shaft in this head. I'm not 100% sure, if I'm completely honest, with the ins and outs of all of that. 1.5 spin, really, really, really low spin, and I'm losing it left. I'm getting, it feels uneasy in my hand. It doesn't feel comfortable at all. Whereas actually, I love this shaft, which is bizarre. But I'm looking at the ball flight and I'm scared of this going left. Now that could be the difference between the setup of the 2 head versus the setup of the 3 head, in regards to obviously the 2 being slightly more elongated and the 3 being a bit more compact. Just seeing there, the ball is always starting a touch left. And again, for me, that is a little bit more upright than what I'm used to with this particular head. 2-1 spin. So I've definitely improved the spin, okay? So by going like for like, putting my new shaft in my old head and bringing the loft towards where my new head is now, I have definitely added a little bit more spin. I've borderline added probably just about enough. 2-1, 2-2 is a decent spin rate. I'd be happy with that. So could I have just changed the old setup in my old driver and got better outcomes? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the old shaft back in, and I'm going to keep it at this C3 setting and see if we can add more spin, and we've got better ball flights as a result. I do have to concede, and I'm going to do this in the future, that this is not the perfect comparison test, because the standard lofts of the heads are slightly different. This is obviously at 8, that's at 9. I can't quite get them to be absolutely perfect together, but I think we've seen some differences in numbers, but not as much as you may have thought. Let me know your thoughts below. What were you expecting? I don't know what I was expecting, if I'm being honest. I was almost fearful for Titleist that just changing the setup of my old head would have just given me the same numbers. But actually GT has still outperformed it just. Has it outperformed it by £500? Everyone's value of money is completely different. If you pay £500 for a new driver and you have it for 3 years and you play 3 rounds of golf a week, it works out as not being too expensive from that perspective. But money is all relative. There's no right or wrong answer. Some will find £500 pocket change, lucky them. Some will find it impossible to buy. So it is a very tricky conversation to be having. Would I pay £500? Probably no, I wouldn't. To be honest, I don't go out and buy a brand new car. I go and buy a car that's 1 or 2 years old. We're talking slightly different monetary values there, but you know, you get my gist. Right, so this setup now is exactly how I have my GT2, GT3, bloody hell. Oh, we definitely saw a higher ball flight. Slower speed, 158.8. 1.7, wow, 1.7 spin. I just can't get this head to spin consistently. That was a good shot. That was a really good shot. A ball just went arrow straight. That was that's a cutting a little bit, but it was a lovely strike out of the centre of the face. Probably my fastest ball speed yet. Kicked back into the fairway, which is nice. 2-2, so that's better. Oh, hooky, see ya. That ball is gone. Well, it's not gone. It's just an awful long way left. Right, one more. What's your conclusion on this video? I feel like I've covered the bases there. I've compared old and new, just as they stand. I've put new shaft in old head and cranked it up. And I put original shaft in original head and cranked it up. And I don't feel like I've got the numbers yet of what the GT3 gave me. All these numbers and letters. Come on, one more. Let's finish on a bloody big one. Oh, Felt okay, a bit pushy. Right, I've got 2 balls left, 2000 spin. I'm just gonna go back to my setup. So it's a B3 setup, which is a standard loft, and it's 9 degrees. So granted, there was 0.25 degrees of loft between the 2 heads. Could have equated to a couple of RPM for sure, 100%, do not deny that. What I'd be interested in probably doing next is the GT3 versus the TSR3, seeing the differences there. But my gamer, just to give a little recap and see how much better this actually is. Oh, it's just 165 ball speed. That just ripped off the face. 2.8 spin, 2.66 carry. The faster I swing it, the little bit more spin that I want to keep it up there. That's why I'm gaming the GT3. And one other driver I'm going to test this against recently, because I absolutely loved this driver, was the Mizuno. I love it. Mizuno versus the new GT3. That is coming to the channel pretty soon. Give me a bit of time. Let me know your thoughts below, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe. Loads more content to come. See you next time.